Hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And yeah, I'm coming out with that intro because I think that's what people need to get past the first 4 seconds of my show. When I really think about it, that's how, Joe Rogan, he has a hello, freak so and so. And even Phil DeFranco has that hello, hello kind of thing. So I guess people are really used to that. Anyway, what do I want to talk about today? I wanted to talk about the fact that almost no matter how poor you are, it's probably not the poverty that's really your biggest problem. It's probably the fact that you don't know how to function at that level that's your biggest problem. And that said, almost no matter how rich you are, it's probably not the amount of money that you have coming in or whatever that lands people back in poverty, right? Okay, so like I said, Earthling 64, yada, yada, yada. And I once walked up to a strange girl that I didn't know in a club, and I told her, nice earrings. So she took them off and put them in my hands, and I had no idea how to react to that. So consequently, that really is the best part of the story. I also had my own newspaper where I used to do everything, take pictures, editing, layout. Consequently, it wasn't so great in the beginning, but I feel like it got a lot better towards the end. I have a computer science degree, for whatever that's worth, master's in business administration, and a little bit of military experience. So that's me. So back to poverty and riches and the fact that no matter how poor you are, it's probably the fact that you don't know how to function at that level that's your biggest problem. And it's not really the poverty. And I'll give you a really simple example. Most people, if they were out in the woods, in the Amazon, wherever they are, if they got lost, their plane crashed, whatever, they would probably die eventually in short order because they don't know how to function in the Amazon. But there are people who live in the Amazon who live and reproduce and have kids and the whole 9 yards. They've lived there for generations. Of course, many of them are losing their know-how about how to survive without modern amenities, but the ones that are not using it, they can survive just fine. So in, let's say, America, let's say Europe, let's say many of these different places, there are people now who have to go to food banks to survive. There are people who have to pick up cans. Now, I just saw a documentary about these kids who, they're saying that they cut grass and they do whatever to make money, stuff that other kids would do just to make some extra money, to do things that they want. But they had to take that money and give it to their parents to buy food. And it's a sad story, really. It's not something that you want to hear. The problem is that they talk about buying cereal because that's what they're used to eating. Cereal, Cereal is one of the worst things to buy if you don't have money. Pound for pound, cereal is one of the most expensive foods that's out there. But these people, the newly poor, they don't understand that. They don't understand that they should really be researching how to live at this standard of living. There are people in Mexico who are making a lot less than these poor people are making on a daily basis, but they make flatbread, or they make tortillas, or they make something that's a very simple, nutritious meal that is not coming out of a box built by or created by one of these largest companies with one of these hugest marketing teams in the world, with all of these colors and decorations. And yeah, they could be buying very, very bargain basement cereal, the cheapest of the cheap, and it's still probably not a good deal. They are trying to live at their former level standard of living, but with less resources. And of course, it's not going to work. I'm not going to tell you or anybody else that the lives that someone from the Amazon was living is going to be great, fantastic. It's not going to be, you're not going to be a baller. But you're probably going to have a lot more leeway in terms of being able to actually get what you need, in terms of the actual nutrition that you need, so that you don't end up buying cereal one day and having your kids, like the kids in this Poor Kids documentary, talking about the fact that they're so hungry that, you know, they feel weak and they feel sick, and then after a while the hunger goes away, and some days are better and some days are worse. No, it doesn't have to be that way. When I remember, I have a friend of mine who, she was going to university, and at some point her mother lost her job and she had to leave university in order to look for work. But unfortunately, she wasn't able to find much work, and her standard of living dropped precipitously, I believe. And that's the sad thing. If you fast forward to her present state, or when I met her, I had a list of email addresses for companies. And I gave it to her, and I said, send out these emails, send emails with your resume to these companies, and let's see what happens. In a very short period of time, she got a number of people wanted to interview her, and then she got a number of job offers. And one of the things that she told me afterwards was that when she was struggling, during the times when she couldn't find a job, she had thought that sending out, I can't remember which it is, so please bear with me, but she thought that sending out 3 or 4 resumes every week, that was a lot. Or maybe it could have been every day. I don't think it was every day, but I think it might have been every week. But just to be sure, I'm just saying that. The list of emails that I gave her, it was about 400 emails on that, in the list. So, and I gave her another list at some other point with thousands of email addresses for companies. And that's why she got all those job offers. I was looking at, again, this documentary, Poor Kids. And the son is asking his father, hey, Dad, how many places did you apply at? And the father says, well, I applied about 3 places and da-da-da-da. And yeah, that's why you're not getting any work, because you don't realize how many different places you have to apply to. And don't get me wrong, I never knew that either. I never knew that either. I applied to a lot of places, in my time. And in many instances, it was a question of, just sending out email after email after email. But they weren't probably, it was on monster.com, so it was a while ago. But there probably was not as many really good places for me to apply to. I probably should have aimed a little bit lower. But that is one of the big problems that people face. They don't know how to think and function in this new space that they're in. And that can be the same. It can be the same whether you're newly rich, like Mike Tyson went from nothing to having millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, or it can be from where you're upper middle class, upper class, middle class, and you drop a couple levels. You drop from middle class to poor. You drop from upper middle class to middle class, or from upper class to middle class. And now you don't know how to function at this level. Yes, the drop is always going to be painful and disorienting and everything like that. You're not going to know right away how to function. But there are many people who never make that adjustment. And for decades, maybe for their entire lives, they function at this other level. And it might be a situation where somebody even comes to them and says, listen, why are you suffering so much at this level? These are the things that you have to do in order to function at this level. And they might just not take that person's advice. And this is not a slam against these people. People usually take the advice of someone that they can relate to. They're not going to take the advice of, an Asian person is not going to take the advice, let's say, of a Western person that readily. They're going to take the advice of another Asian person. So if they see another Asian person more readily, there are certain Asian people that they're going to say, oh, you're different from me. I don't relate to you. I'm not going to take your advice. I'm not going to follow that path. And I'll give you an example again. I needed to lose weight. I needed to exercise more. I needed to do whatever. And my sister's ex-boyfriend now, at the time, he was about my age. And I could relate to him, not financially and a number of other ways, but at least age-wise and at least fitness-wise. And when I heard that he was going to start using P90X and he's going to start exercising in order to lose weight, something that had never happened to me in my entire life, I thought, whoa, I am not going to let this guy who I've seen, who I've hung out with, leave me in the dust. And whoop, I got P90X, this exercise program, and I started following it. And of course, that started me on the path to where I am, which is me being a lot more satisfied with my body and myself, etc. So, yeah, unfortunately, but what I would recommend to anybody who wants to make it is, wherever you are, try to get some research, start to get some information about the best ways to exist in this new place that you're in. It might be a new country. It might be a new standard of living. It might be new circumstances with respect to the surroundings that you're in, whether it's a city, whether it's a country, whether it's wherever it is. And one of the best places to get information is online. You can talk to one person or two people or ask around, and you're only going to find information from the people that you are somehow 6 degrees of separation related to, in your network. But from the internet, you can find information from loads of people outside of your network. And the more people that you can get information from, the more likely it is that you're going to get really good information. I know that that's what helped me to understand what I really needed to do when it came to women and how I should approach a situation to get someone to potentially like me or want to be intimate with me. I didn't know that there were things that you could do on a step-by-step basis to even decide or to realize, okay, this one, no, this is not going to work. Maybe you need to try with somebody else. I didn't know that for the longest time. But because of the internet, I was able to get a semblance of what I needed to do to succeed in the environment that I was in. Anyway, I kind of drug this out a little bit longer than I should have. So share, like, unlike, subscribe, comment, any of those things, in the same way that you would like somebody to comment on your stuff if this was yours. Have a good one. Peace.